For this second investigation, we're going to be taking a look at the conditions of perpendicular lines in the coordinate plane. So again, we're going to do the same idea. We're going to look at the measure of angle CEA. We're going to look at the slopes of lines AB and lines CD. And this time we have to look at the product of the slopes as well. So going back to Sketchpad, please have your calculator handy because you're definitely not going to want to compute these products by hand. So this time, of course, instead of getting to 0 like we did last time, because our angle was at 0, we were getting a parallel line because basically we were creating no angle between the lines, right? Now we're going to be, of course, looking at it approaching 90 degrees, being perpendicular. So here we go. Angle CEA is 24.9 and our slopes are there. I wonder if I can multiply those. Measure product, edit, find the product. Calculate, create an expression using the keyboard pop-up menus or insert values by clicking them in the sketch. Times. Oh, wow. Look at that. I just impressed myself. There we go. I've calculated the product for you. So you can go ahead and pause the screen and write those down. Let's increase this angle measure to 60.65 degrees. To make it interesting, do we want to move the slope of A and B? Okay. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and change the slope of A, line AB, excuse me. So go ahead and get those down. And our final one, here we go. Let's have the measure of angle CEA approach 90. Very close. Almost there. That's what we're going to get. And there we go. So go ahead, pause the screen and get those down, and I'm going to go back to the notes. So what did we notice about the lines as the measure of angle CEA approaches 90 degrees? They're perpendicular. Because that would be the definition, correct? What do we notice about the slopes? Hint, what does the product imply about the slopes? Why are the slopes opposite? So this one might not be as intuitive as the first one. So the product was equal to 1 when the slopes were 90 degrees. I'm sorry, the product was actually equal to -1, but let's look at the 1 part for a minute. So what do we know about two numbers whose product is 1? We call those numbers reciprocals. Okay. Now, why is the product -1? Again, so a negative comes from multiplying a negative times a positive. And so that means the slopes are opposite of each other, one negative and one positive. And the reason is, I'm going to bump back to the sketch, is because the line that has the positive slope is going up and the line that is having the negative slope is going down. And there's no way we can create perpendicular lines with two lines with positive slope or two lines with negative slope. We need one of the slopes to be positive and one of the slopes to be negative. Is the converse true? So again, this time, if the lines are perpendicular, then the slopes are opposite. Reciprocals is the phrase that we're looking for. And again, thinking about this for a little bit, it is true. So the conjecture is two non-vertical lines. So the reason why this doesn't work with vertical lines, I'll tell you in a second. So two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes are opposite reciprocals. The reason why we can't have vertical lines for this property to work, it's not that vertical lines won't produce a perpendicular. Of course, horizontal and vertical lines are perpendicular. If I can maybe take a look at that. Oops. So here's a horizontal line. It has a slope of 0. What do we know about the slope of a perpendicular line? It's undefined, right? Well, it should be. I guess it's not here. I wonder if I could construct something perpendicular. Construct perpendicular line. So here's my perpendicular line. Let me get a point on that line. And I'm going to have it labeled. And I'm going to go ahead and calculate the slope. Oh, it's not coming out completely undefined. Well, anyway, it should be undefined, and you can't calculate something undefined, so therefore the actual product won't exist. Also, the product would be negative, would be 0, oh, excuse me, because of a, apologies there. So back to what we were discussing. Basically, this rule works for everything except for vertical and horizontal lines. So now what I'd like you to do is go ahead and attempt the 2 example problems and then check out video 3 for an explanation of those.